GT Countdown. The top 10 most anticipated games of E3 2010. Brought to you by NOS.
It's never officially summer until the gates of the LA Convention Center open and we discover all the interactive treasures we'll be playing or drooling over for the next couple years. E3 2010 beckons in the distance, which means it's time to stop and ask ourselves, what games are already tugging at our wallets? With no real core games announced for Natal or Move, and games like Halo Reach and Metroid Other M already sampled in large doses, the following 10 still have enough mystery surrounding them to make an impact.
Number 10. Bulletstorm.
From the minds behind Gears of War and the underrated Painkiller, Bulletstorm is billing itself as the Burnout of the FPS genre, encouraging you to kill with skill and unleash creative destruction. With momentum-driving attacks like kicks and slides, an energy leash to pull enemies towards you, and an arsenal full of crazy weapons, Bulletstorm gives you plenty of ways to play with your food. Not many games reward you for shooting an enemy in the groin and putting him out of his misery with a kick to the face, which is why we're looking forward to our first chance to play it at E3.
Number 9. Dead Space 2.
Visceral Games is making some big promises for Dead Space 2. Thus far, we've heard more than we've seen, and we're hoping that will change come E3. The game is set to take place in a bigger, more varied environment, a full-fledged orbital colony, as opposed to a dank planet cracker. We're excited to lay eyes on the variety implicit in this, as so far all we've seen brings to mind the dreary old Ishimura. Isaac will also have to have a more robust wardrobe this time around, but what will his extra suits do? Incidentally, Mr. Clark is supposed to be a more vocal presence in the sequel, but can Dead Space's horrific world sustain a chatterbox protagonist?
Number 8. Crysis 2.
At the time of its release, the original Crysis represented the bleeding edge of graphical prowess on the PC, and since then, running the game has become somewhat of a benchmark. With Crysis 2, we'll see the next effort from the envelope-pushing developer Crytek hit home consoles as well. Our early look at the game running on the 360 was brief, but it definitely left a strong impression. We look to E3 to get our first chance at putting the interactive in interactive entertainment, as no one has been able to put their hands on the game thus far.
Let him who desires peace prepare for war.
Number 7. Castlevania Lords of Shadow.
Lords of Shadow is an intriguing entry in Konami's line of vampire-slaying games, and it isn't simply for the fact that it's being developed outside the series' usual cabinet of talent. For the first time ever, we have some significant proof that Castlevania could actually work in 3D, though we're not holding our breath just yet. Big-name actors, even bigger boss battles, and the moral support of one Hideo Kojima certainly gives us hope, and our first ever hands-on with this beast should tell a compelling tale.
Number 6.
Any contact with the chamber
Portal
floor
2.
will result in an unsatisfactory mark on your official testing record, followed by death.
The first Portal was a triumph. Its bliss was brief, but bundled with the fantastic orange box, its brevity was not so bitter. The recent PC update added an epilogue to the devious duel with GLaDOS, and a trickle of information has reached us via trans-dimensional tesseracts. The promise of co-op, and with it, double the portals, is out and out awesome, and Valve's guaranteeing a full-length adventure, which honestly boggles our minds. How deep can the rabbit hole go? Its recent acquisition of the developers of Tag, the indie game where you paint attributes like velocity and orientation onto walls, has us readying the barf bag with anticipation of what we'll see in Portal 2.
If you want my advice, you should just lie down in front of a rocket. Trust me.
Number 5. Gears of War 3.
Given that the series has already gone bigger, better, and more badass, how can Gears of War 3 possibly up the ante? With smarter enemies, more substantial environments, and advanced weaponry across 4-player co-op. That's how. Most importantly, Gears 3 will finally extinguish our burning desire to finish off the Locust Horde. Give us lambents, boomers, drones, it doesn't matter. Either way, we can't wait to let our saw blades do the talking. We're hoping Epic addresses the story at E3 to answer our most pressing questions. Getting our hands dirty with some playtime wouldn't hurt either.
Number 4. Metal Gear Solid Rising.
First announced last year at Microsoft's press conference, we still don't know much about this latest installment in the Metal Gear series. While Hideo Kojima's name is still attached to the project, he's indicated that he would have a much more limited role in Rising's development. Though we wouldn't be surprised if he comes in at the 11th hour to sprinkle on some magic dust. We know it will star Snake's sidekick Raiden, but that's about it. The new tagline suggests a shift away from stealth action, but then Metal Gear Solid 4 already went in that direction. Whatever's in store for us, we can't wait to see it at E3 this year.
Number 3. Batman: Arkham Asylum sequel.
Last year, legions of Bat followers saw their fears of yet another disappointing Batman game unexpectedly dissolve into fears that the amazing Arkham Asylum would be the only of its kind. But then the bat signal blazed through the night sky and we saw the beginnings of a beautiful franchise. Thankfully, The Dark Knight has a gaggle of villains to choose from for several sequels to come. Not to mention the fact that we haven't even been to Gotham City yet. Riddle us this. Will we be blasting through downtown in the Batmobile with a co-op Robin in the passenger seat? Only Rocksteady knows the answer. We can't wait for those folks to share.
Number 2. The Last Guardian.
The biggest leak of last E3 is now almost the most anticipated game of E3 2010, and it's easy to see why. There's the pedigree. It's from the team that brought us Shadow of the Colossus and Ico. There's the graphics. The attention to detail on the Griffin is uncanny. It's as if they mocapped the mythical beast. There's the emotion. In the scant minutes we've spent with the boy in the Griffin, we've already built a bond with him. Finally, there's the mystery. How will this game play, and who, boy or Griffin, is the actual Last Guardian? The only bigger question is, which game is even more anticipated?
Number 1. The Legend of Zelda Wii sequel.